This is a replay of the interview I got to do with DBG from May 15th, 2023. There was a little bit of a connection issue at the beginning of the interview, and I skipped ahead of that to get rid of the awkwardness. But please comment, like, and subscribe. Hope you enjoy it. It has to be a mobile thing. DBG, how are you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. That was a good stretch of my, just putting out a bunch of words to try to fill time. That was a good exercise for me. This whole Twitter space thing is still new for me. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure how
gonna
many.
lie. I have not got much of a clue how it works myself. So
It's like a phone call. As far as I know, it's like a phone call, and that's how it's worked for me so far. And first of all, thank you for your time. I know the playoffs are coming up, and I know you're a basketball guy. From what I
I
hear.
mean, I've been trying to fix my sleep pattern, so I've been just watching highlights in the morning. This is like the first year where I haven't stayed up really late because that's the first year in a long time I've taken my health somewhat seriously.
And that comes with age. I like that. I like that. That's one morning you wake up and you go, "Holy cow! I ate what yesterday? Okay, that's why I feel like this." That's I've been there. And
Yeah, and like I was like the best part of a year doing nothing. So it was kind of a rude awakening when I went back to basketball to realize how out of shape I was. So it's
and
yes.
not only basketball, but what's a competitive soccer celebrity style tournament or football? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that was a
I'm sorry.
that was
That was
a bad idea.
Jeez. I'm American. I apologize for everything I say for the next hour. How about that?
No, I mean it was a bad idea playing the game.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the whole soccer thing. I knew I was going to
Oh no,
say it
I
right
couldn't.
away.
I'm Irish. It's soccer here as well. We have our own football.
See, I learned something. I'm writing that down. It's also soccer in Ireland. See, I'm a big fan of knowledge, so and that's why I appreciate it. I tried not to do much research on you from what I already knew about you because I am a fan of knowledge. Um, and and fun fact, uh, my goal and this was just my goal that my wife knows about this goal. Uh, that my goal of mine for 2K23 was to get a DBG follow back. And I know it sounds crazy as a grown adult, it sounds crazy, but the reason that was is because my kids know who DBG is. But they don't know who Mick is. That's who we're gonna find out a little more about. But they know who DBG
Uh oh, is that I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
and it's a flex for me. Anytime I can flex is a great thing. So I appreciate that. And to back up a little bit, because um, and I figured the way to get you to follow me back, it was an easy goal for me because I knew Jazz. I had an in. I knew your buddy Jazz, and so I asked Jazz, and again, I'm a different person than I was from August or January or even last month. I'm trying to still grow and navigate the whole social media thing with uh, gaming and stuff. But you were polite. Jazz did talk to you. You were polite, and you responded with a no and you said why, and it was fantastic. It was a good interaction. It was a this, and I thought to myself, okay, that's good motivation. I got to earn a follow, because if you would have followed me
I'm
back, I'd have been wilding from the beginning, and I'd have been banned, and I'd have been probably, it'd been crazy. So I appreciate you not following me back or anybody back just from people asking, even if they claim to know
I
somebody.
mean I've had way too many experiences of there's been so many situations in the community. Obviously it's not yourself, but obviously I didn't know who you were at the time, where people kind of get on the ins with creators and they use that to scam people, or like the guy last year, I don't know what his name was. I think it was like MT Menace or something, who basically came into my who basically just sent me a bunch of abuse for a year in DMs, and I'm like, this guy's followed by like 15 creators. So I'm like, this guy's obviously a fucking known person, and it's like, it's that type of stuff where it's like, if it turned out that you're a nice guy, I know that now. I'm pretty sure. Do I follow you now? I think
Yes,
I
you
do.
do. Yes, you do. Because it was one thing that you followed me back and 4 months ago, I'd have tweeted the hell out of that, saying, "Look who followed me! Look who followed me!" But it was more like a, "Yep, there it is. I did it." You know, it was like an XP. It was like getting to level 40. You know, it was awesome. And but wait a second, I tweet level 40s all the time. Never mind. But it was something that I had just appreciated on a personal level, is what it was. And
It's all good. I know.
and
I never really. Again, I'm always surprised to hear that because I assume like for people that if people have ever met me in person, I don't realize that I'm DBG. Like 2K is just my job. Like none of my friends are anything to do with YouTube. I don't really interact that much with people on YouTube, so it's always strange to hear that.
yeah,
Like I still
and
think I'm making the same videos to 4 people as I if it's whether it's 100,000 people or like it was back in my peak or like 10,000 people like it is now. I still think I'm recording to the same 4 people.
yeah, and that's the thing that you can do that, and which isn't easy to be able to switch things on and switch things off, especially with how negative people in social media can be. Because and that's the one thing I love about Twitter Spaces is nobody would know who I am at all for any reason except some dude who's always in chats just chatting and won't shut up. So I appreciate the fact that there's a Twitter Space that I can talk to you and not just say, "Hey, follow me because of this." I can actually get to know who you are and chat up with Mick a little more and see things like the pictures of you and Josh and Jazz going to the wrestling event, and you hammering seltzers and
Oh,
and
I
more of a
haven't.
personal level.
I've barely like. Oh, that was a. I need to set the story straight from that. Like, I showed up on 0 hours sleep, and then like I didn't KO. As much as Jazz wants to say it that I KO'd after drinking, I did not KO after drinking. I fell asleep because I hadn't slept in 2 days.
So did that kind of have something to do with the whole 1 year thing of all the, hey, I need to get the body back into shape? Was that part of the whole? Because yeah, falling asleep is one thing, but I guess the picture of a couple hours before of the stack of seltzers and then falling asleep, it's just a
There,
tough sell.
there's more to that story. I ordered 3 because it was 3 for £8. And then somebody DM'd me and goes, "Oh, I know where that Weatherspoons is." And Weatherspoons is a restaurant where you have table numbers and you order off your phone. So it's a thing that people just order drinks. So I got a DM from somebody who then sent down 6 more. I did not buy. I did not buy him. I bought 3.
At that point, are you obligated to finish them, or does the table help out? Did they kind of leave you on an island? And
No, I failed miserably. I got about 5 down, which is not a lot of alcohol.
no, especially yeah, that's seltzer's kind of what's something you accidentally come home with around here. That you like, oh, you show up at home and you're like, oh no, I got the seltzer, God, and then but you're stuck with it, so you got to drink it. And I don't know how that is, and I've never traveled out of the country, of my country, so I'm very ignorant as far as other cultures and what they think of our products. So is a Bud Light seltzer, is that celebrated in your area?
We don't have Bud Light here.
So what kind of seltzer was that?
Oh, well, I can't even remember.
And
I
not to focus on seltzer, as a beer drinker myself, again, I get to chat with somebody across the world about beer. I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I've basically stopped drinking since then because like when I got sick, I wasn't meant to drink, and then because I was on like really strong blood thinners, my leg. Jazz also didn't tell you this part that like I at the wrestling event, my leg swelled up so badly that I was worried I had another blood clot.
Oh, geez.
But it was just alcohol thinning blood with blood thinners. My leg swelled up like a balloon. So since then, I haven't. I've had a couple of drinks here and there, but like I've pretty much been 3 years. I haven't been drunk. I've been drunk once in the last 3 years.
Oh, congratulations on that. Yeah, it takes a while. It took a while for me to get, well, I guess I'm not really out of that phase yet, but it's moderation, of course, moderation. And, and so good job on that. It's not easy, especially with any kind of, alcohol or tobacco or anything like that. It's a big step to put something like that in your past. Uh, but I do, to have an awkward segue to the intro I have written for you, because we're already 13 minutes in. I knew I was going to like chatting with you. I knew I was going to be in trouble as far as timing. But, and again, thank you for your time. But I have an intro for you of what I think I know of you. And then you can kind of correct me when I get through this list. It's a little drawn out list, and you can interject at any point as well. But this is how I know DBG. All right. So, YouTuber, and then podcast guest, and that was how one reason I have Twitter is because I needed to submit a question to Jazz's podcast, and you were the guest on that one, the first one they did that. And so I signed up for Twitter and everything, submitted a question, sent it off, got a message the next day from Jazz and said the file was corrupted. Better luck next time. And that was the one shot I had to talk to you. And then once in a while I try to hop in your chats, but man, you have a lot of people that follow your streams. I don't know if you know that, but they move pretty quick.
What year? I assume that was the 2K21 or 22 stream you were in.
Yeah, this was 21 because we're right around the podcast. And even nowadays when you fire up, and that's going to come on the streamer, even, nowadays when you fire up, there's still a lot of people that like chatting with you. Whether that's positive or negative, people like interacting with you.
Yeah, but like there is levels to it. Like if you send a message in twice, I'll read it nowadays. Back in the 2K21 days, I did not see any messages. Like
it was moving. It was jumping.
I couldn't read chat in the 2K21 days. I couldn't see them. Like there was.
Oh yeah, that's what
like
Jazz was like. Hey, I've got DBG on the podcast, and I was like, what? This guy? No, wait. Did you spell that right? Was that autocorrect? No. Okay. And yeah, then that was how I started to get more familiar with your work because I was way into 2K21 at the time. Thank you, COVID. But also an encyclopedia, a comedian, a documentarian, and then a streamer, which leads to impressionist because I saw like you said, you can go from Mick to DBG when you're streaming and you start to record a YouTube video. The what's going on guy, and I'm not even going to try to do an impression, but you can tell when you switch it into the DBG mode.
If you think my stream voice is even close to my actual voice.
And I'm trying to figure it out because at some points you're thinking a 2.5, 3 hour stream, there's got to be some of you, even accidentally when you're singing, when you're singing and just chilling and talking about a band, I think that's where more Mick comes out. And I could be wrong, and that could be just me putting my perspective on you, but that's what I see a little bit more of Mick coming out at those moments.
Of course, if someone wants to disrespect Paramore, Avril Lavigne, or if someone especially wants to disrespect the Eurovision, I'm going, the gloves are out. The gloves are out. No one wants to disrespect someone else's things. The gloves are out. Nothing's off limits.
See, I like that. You can switch it into high gear. That's good. And a commentator, which comes in, for hyping things up and commentating. And also an educator, a tactical downgrader, a leader, a teacher, which is different than an educator. A teacher, is a profession. You're there to teach. An educator, you're there to educate people whenever you can come in contact with people that need information. And then you're a podcaster yourself. And then I hear you were a tech prodigy, maybe even still considered a tech prodigy, a tech crusader. Prodigy? Yeah, that's in my notes, so it has to be true.
I need context for that.
My notes. That's the context. My notes have you as a tech prodigy.
I don't know what that means.
Well, 30 for 30, 30 under 30. See, I get that confused with the ESPN thing. I think they might have ripped that off from you, but 30 under 30.
It was for tech. It was for YouTube. I barely know how to turn on anything that isn't directly involved with YouTube content creating.
And so they give you an award for that.
No, it's like the Forbes 30 under 30, except the technology. So like people that run companies based on technology, content creators and stuff. So I was listed as one of Ireland's 30 and 30 twice.
Which is huge. Which it seems like you're downplaying a little bit. Which is huge. So when they came, so did they come and talk to you about that? When they decided you were part of that, did they come and talk to you about that, or did they just write the story and just surprise you with it?
Yeah, they wrote an article about me earlier in the year. I'm not gonna lie, the author, the guy runs that like newspaper, and put me on the list and wrote an article where I was kind of the main focus of it. Is a massive basketball fan, and he was kind of happy that he could write about basketball. So,
so you
I got lucky. If I was in
his...
any other niche, there's no chance I get nominated. I got once, let alone twice.
Yeah, see, twice now. See, like that. See, yeah, 30 under 30 for tech. I don't think that has a whole lot to do with basketball, and a little more than just turning on YouTube, which I still struggle with. I've deleted just as many YouTube videos as I've tried to upload. So, good on you for your consistency on that. But then also a crusader, as far as whatever a stance you take, that you can, and it goes back to leader. You can lead people. And an IRL hoop sweat. This goes back to the day, to Mini Mick running around on the streets, putting elbows on people. That's in my notes as well.
It's been a long time. It's been best part of a decade since I was very good at basketball. It's been 4 years since I was even decent.
It's been the best part of 20 years since I could dribble with both hands. So, that's... You're still in the wheelhouse, though. You're still on the verge of maybe a call-up, right? September call-up, as we call it in baseball.
Yeah, like I could play. Like in Ireland, you just play whatever level you play at. There's like national leagues, and then there are like local leagues. So the national leagues are, you play on week, you train 2 or 3 times a week. You travel all around the country playing. And like when I was younger, I would have played in those leagues. And then there's like local leagues, and because Dublin's so big, our Dublin local league is almost as good as the national league. I would have played on the best team in that league for a couple of years as well. But like now I might be in like depending on how I come back from this injury. As of right now, I'm probably at the level of like Division 3 Dublin local league. Whereas if I lose 15 pounds in the next 2 months, I could be okay to try to play National League next year, but it's unlikely.
Okay, but coming from an old head to a guy with still some spark, whatever you can do to get one more run in, my man, one more run. I know you had some injury issues in the past, but hey, that's how legends are made, right? Leave it out. Was that Willis Reed?
Injury issues, man. 6 months ago, I was told I was never, or not even 6 months ago, I was told I was never going to play again.
Like, see, tomato, right? I hear injury issues. I hear, maybe I hear day to day. That's what I hear when you say that.
I wouldn't call blood clot issues an injury issue.
Hey, if you're going to downplay how good you are at making content, I'm going to downplay the medical thing too, because I'm not a big fan of medical stuff. I let the doctors handle that, and they give me the bill. Is what I tell them. But another thing I have on here is hurler, which somebody just put it in the chat. I had no idea what hurling is. Can you, Cliff Notes version? You don't have to teach me. We're not playing tomorrow, but can you give me a rundown of what hurling is? It looks dangerous.
It's like, imagine, I can't even describe it. I actually cannot describe it. It's like a mixture between
like a missile.
A mixture between lacrosse and rugby.
Jeez.
Like, imagine if you were lacrosse, but you were perfectly legal, but like the way you would swing, you can perfectly legally in situations swing the stick through somebody. And the ball is like a baseball, and it's coming at you at about 150 miles an hour at times.
That sounds like a fantastic time, actually. What would make somebody want to do a sport like that. Let's okay. Back up to a little bit younger, because the last thing I have on my list is Oracle and possible Snuggie stock owner. That's the last thing on my list. Can't confirm or deny it, but you sport the Oracle wear well. Um,
I want I wanted like if any Snuggie companies happen to be watching, I'd love a sponsorship.
there you go. Yep, and then it might stumble across it. I like that. A DBC. Yeah, do you have like any kind of pitch yet? Do you have like a catchphrase for it? Because I know like Mark Cuban right now he's got a funny commercial about doing like socks and sandwiches or something. Do you have a DBG tie-in for a Snuggie yet, or is that still in the works?
Easy. So lads, there's a cost of living crisis. Heating's gone through the roof. But who needs heating when you can tactically downgrade? Buy a Snuggie. You'll be fine. You're gonna feel like the heating's on. And instead of paying 300 quid a month for your heating, you're paying 40 quid one-off purchase. Be grand, lads.
Sold. I like that. See, yeah, the tactical downgrade. So you just stop paying your heat bill.
Yes.
That's a move. That's a move. I like
Yes.
that.
My heating bill, my parents over Christmas, they just kept their house hot. Their heating bill over the November, December was €1,300.
That's wild. That's wild. And that's
Mine,
just burnt. That's just burnt.
yeah, mine was 120 because myself and my roommates wore wore Snuggies.
And what does that agreement look like when you guys all decide this is how it's going to go? Is that a forced upon anybody, or is that everybody all in? It seems like that'd be quite a discussion.
No, it's a I pay all the house bills, so
You're wearing a Snuggie. That's here's your
yeah,
Snuggie.
we're wearing Snuggies. If he's want to chip in for the heating bill, cool. If not Snuggies, it is.
I love that. I love that. So I know sports is big. Sports is big in your resume, big in your history. Which, with the hurling and the basketball, is Dublin a basketball hotbed? Is that big there? Because again, only my perspective of my local area where I grew up, I know what sports are popular. I don't know, like how easy it would be to go get a game in downtown Dublin.
Nah, it's not big.
Not big. Okay, so what? How did you get into basketball then?
I was like very, very tall as a kid. I played every sport. So until I was 15, I think tennis was my first sport. So I would have played tennis, like Gaelic football, which is Irish sport, hurling. I played a little bit of basketball, and then I grew to like 6'1" at 13, and ended up making like the local Dublin basketball team. Then under 16s, I made the national team, and was kind of playing for some of the best teams in the country, kind of growing up. So I just kind of stuck with basketball. Probably in hindsight, the sport that at 25 or 26 I would be worst at because I'm a 6'1" post player, but at the time, I like.
You go from being extremely tall to be extremely short quick, don't you? In the basketball world, I'm also 6'1" ish. I claim to be 6'2" if I'm like feeling good, but 6'1". Used to be tall. In my little rec league, I bring the ball up as point guard, but I also play center on defense. That's the kind of size we're dealing with.
If you want to feel tall, you should go to the Philippines.
So, okay,
I had more than one kid.
Get some games in.
No, I was at a wedding, but like, no, I had more than one time. I was walking around with a Dallas Mavericks T-shirt, and kids thought I was Luka Doncic.
How many autographs did you sign?
None. They realized when they ran up to me that I wasn't Luka.
Oh, you probably got smaller as they ran up to you, and you're like, "Wait."
Yeah, kids on multiple occasions, kids ran up to me shouting Luka, and then they realized that I was not Luka.
See, and that's a lot of disappointment to handle in a day. But
Yeah,
you just switch jerseys then. Throw on the Harden jersey. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, that would have been a better idea.
Yeah, even more shocking when they run up behind you and look you in the eyes and say, "Wait a second, that's not James Harden." Hold on.
I think I'm a little bit too white for them to think I'm James Harden. I think I might
Hey,
just be a little bit too white.
guilty, guilty, guilty. But the jumper, though, maybe the jumper. You never know in the right light. Looking like a James Harden jumper. But so basketball was at the so tennis was the first love, and then where did hurling is school sports is that big here? It seems like it's if you're not talking about homework, you're talking about sports in school, and then they even started with school teams pretty young.
Yeah, so like school sports isn't that big a deal here. So like the
Okay.
most it's everything's kind of club. So like you play with a basketball club and that's kind of the way it is in Europe. Like your school team is just kind of an afterthought. You just play in your school team for fun.
Mm, okay.
So like my school basketball team had only like three up until my final year, three guys that could score layups. There were
That's just
games where
good.
I would shoot there were games where I would start chucking 30 footers and shoot 40 times a game. But then for my club, I was a glue guy.
And see, and that's it seems like it's a little bit opposite. Unless you're into big time like AAU basketball or something, we played the YMCA or a church ball or something on the side, but the school team making it on the school team was always the dream, you know.
It, sports are kind of a different. They're seen as different in the States and here. Whereas like for our like local sports, you play for like your parish, which is like your area. There's going to be like 5 or 6 schools in the parish, but like you play for the club team that's in your area, and you don't, no matter what, you don't leave in like our local Gaelic football and hurling. Um, I luckily enough just happened to live in an area where it was one of the best clubs in the country, so it was a very easy job playing goal. I didn't have any shots taken at me, but then with all club sports in Europe, it's a thing where and it's a reason why so many players in Europe are able to like fit in so seamlessly into just being part of teams. Like from the time you're 12 years old, nobody in the club gives a damn whether you go to college, whether you're starting. The whole goal is we want to groom players. We want to make players when they're 19, 20 years old be ready for our senior team, be ready for our first team. So you're kind of learning like that club style of basketball from the time you're like 8 years old. You're constantly just fitting into a team. By the time you're 16, you're playing with men and you're getting destroyed. I think eventually you're good. Eventually, well, you're ready to be a part of piece in a cog. Whereas I know in the States, it's all about in high school, getting a college scholarship for most people is more important than winning.
Yeah, 100%, 100% agree with that, 100%.
Yeah,
And
but like the price of college, it makes perfect sense. Like college here is 3 to 5K a year at most.
jeez. Yeah, then that could be the focus. Yeah, that I can see where that because yeah, the price tag here is a little bit more steep, and so yeah, everybody has a pipe dream of when they're growing up that they're going to play for Indiana because they watched Hoosiers or Notre Dame because they watched Rudy, or I don't know if there's a storied like club that kids, maybe not as a pro league, but there's some other step because it sounds pretty intense already. If you're already putting together multiple schools for a team, it's got to be competitive, because around here, each high school has their own 15 kids, and it sounds like they're making 5 high schools field a team. So that's something
Yeah,
to be able to go up through that, cutthroat scene.
yeah, like there's a lot of different sports in Ireland and they kind of clash. So like soccer's big, Gaelic football, hurling are big enough. Basketball's tiny. But it's like for a basketball club, there's not that many of them. There's like in each age, in my age, there's only like 10 clubs in all of Dublin. And we only had like 7 players on our team. Um, and like we won the national championship and we had actually a couple of guys from a year younger. We had 5 guys our age and we won the national championship. But
Wow.
like,
And that's just playing. That's just what playing together. So you guys kind of all came up at the
yeah,
same.
yeah. And I kind of transferred clubs when I was like 15. So I kind of came in, but we'd call up guys from the younger teams and they all did a job.
Yeah. And
That was fun.
and in Gaelic football, one thing about Gaelic football, that was my question that I had submitted to Jazz's podcast about how long it's been since there's been a decent Gaelic football game and how many more people should know the rules of the sport and when you thought the next one was coming. So
When
years later, 2 years later, I get to ask you that. What's wrong with the competitive Gaelic football gaming scene? You know, where's that at?
what are you on about? The Ulster, watch the Ulster final last week.
But
Went to penalty shootout. A draw after 2 hours of extra time. Went to a penalty shootout. And then the team who played an outfield player in goal lost because their keeper couldn't save any penalties.
but I'm talking about a video game that I can play though.
Oh,
I
the
don't even
video
know where I'd
game.
be able to
Oh,
find
have
it.
you
Yeah,
ever?
because I think when I
Oh, a
Googled it, it was
PS2.
like 2006. There was a game
Oh
from EA
yeah,
or
no,
something.
no. But sure, there's never. Video games cost too much to make now. Like you used to be able to get like shovelware games, and it's the reason why no movies of games anymore, and it just costs too much to make a video game now. Although Gaelic Games Football, the first one is like one of the highest ever selling games in Ireland, and it was terrible.
Mamerto type terrible or
Mamerto typed exactly that. So because Gaelic football is an amateur sport, they weren't allowed to pay anybody, so nobody had their likeness. So every single player had the same player model, and they weren't called like random names. They were called their position. So every single team just had their like local colors where they were based, and like the team was goalkeeper, right fullback, left fullback, right halfback, midfielder.
man, we
And they
could
all looked.
all
Every
learn
player looked the
something
same.
from that.
Every player was the same height, had the same obviously same animations. They were same height, looked the same, had the same haircut, same player build, and their names were what position they were on the floor, on the pitch. Everybody just looked the same. It was the worst PS2 game ever made, and it's still probably because it was Gaelic football is the highest selling PS2 game in Ireland.
That is awesome, but hey, that might be something that we get all these young AAU basketball players. They're only called their position now. They don't get their name on their jersey anymore. They just get their position, and so you're yelling, "Hey, small forward! Hey, center!" I like that. I like that. That's team building, right there. I don't know about everybody looking cookie cutter the same, but and that's gaming for you. In some of the games that we played growing up, that don't even resemble some of the stuff we get to play now, because it's like we had to play what we played back then, and now we get to play what we play now. So when did you start getting into video games? Like, do you remember what your first console was?
Yeah, Game Boy Advance, big time Pokemon fan.
Okay, okay, and is that a
Pokemon
single
Crystal.
single player Game Boy?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I'm leading into online and getting into all where the tech kind of grows. Because Pokemon. So when did you get into sports gaming?
Right afterwards, I got PS2. Oh no, I got a PS1. Did I? I got a PS1 because my uncle got a PS2, and that had backwards compatibility. So he gave me his old PS1.
Uncle
Um,
hand-me-downs are the
because
best.
yeah, because it was like he had like jailbroke the PS1, and you can't technically sell them.
Mm.
So he was just like, so I had a bunch of like these old games. So I was playing like old FIFA games, like FIFA 03, I think was my first FIFA game. It was great because you were able to slide tackle the goalkeeper, and 6-year-old Mick was 2 foot in the turned off cards and was 2 foot in the goalkeeper every time. It was great.
Yeah, finding an exploit. Yeah, slide tackling to the goalkeeper. Yeah, it sounds like an exploit that could be pretty useful. Pretty useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And so that's so did you get into basketball if that did you kind of play the games that you were playing in real life as you were growing up, or was there something that kind of stuck more than others?
No, so they actually didn't sell basketball games in Ireland for years. Like the first time a basketball game was ever available on launch in Ireland was NBA 2K13 because of how
What?
popular 2K11 ended up being. So people were like asking because 2K11 the Jordan, everyone knows how big that game was. that game was requested so much in like GameStops and was ordered in so much that they didn't have like they weren't able to order into 2K12s, but they did for 2K13. But the only time you used to be able to get them was like on pre-owned on you get them pre-owned maybe in GameStop or at Christmas sometimes they come in. So I think I've been playing a little bit of basketball and like the first game I played was NBA Live 06 for the PS2, which is just a reskin of NBA Live 05, which is still one of the best basketball games ever. And
Oh,
I just played that game non-stop for years. Like I had on the PlayStation 2. I got an Xbox 360 for Live 08, I think. Yeah, I got Live 08, Pau Gasol on the cover in Spain.
so
And
what did that look like? So if you're playing this game for years, are you like inviting buddies over and you're whooping them with your squad, or is it what's the game? What's the draw?
no, we made our own fun back then. So it was like almost like the my career thing. I would make myself in the game, obviously 99 everything. And I put myself on Heat because I was a Heat fan and go out there and like simulate. I don't even know what it was called, like whatever the franchise mode was, simulate that and score 100 points and do fantasy drafts all the time and just play with those teams for 4 months because I didn't play that much of video games. It would take me 4 months to do a season on a fantasy draft, and I'd always take Allen Iverson and drop 80 points a game with him.
Wow.
Um, but
Yep,
yeah, like
yep,
that's something.
and enjoy each dunk and enjoy each animation because yeah, yeah, because it was just pure the enjoying the sport, especially if you got to invite a buddy over and you get into a little sweat fest or something and you're elbowing each other and it's the reason that we still play the games today now that they have the online version of whatever game we're playing.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first time that you went online and or which game you went
Modern
online with
Warfare.
and how that looked?
No, it was one of the Call of Duties. It would have been like Call of Duty 4, maybe. Call of Duty 4 or World at War, one of those years. That's when first time I got online was because PS3. Because I got an Xbox 360 really early. I got the ones without the Wi-Fi dongle. I wasn't gonna ask my parents to pay for the Wi-Fi dongle. And then Xbox Live was another 100 euro, or it was 60 euro a year. But PS3 online was free. So whatever way I managed to do it, I managed to trade an Xbox for someone's PS3, I think. Um,
Just wheeling and
and
dealing, taking in
yeah,
cost
and
of
like
internet and everything in account. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, it was like no, it was like I had loads of I think I had loads of Xbox games, and it came out to like I gave up all the games. So like that was like part of the deal. But it was
Better deal
yeah,
than you
and
get at
then
GameStop anyway. So giving them to
yeah,
a buddy at least.
it would have been whatever Call of Duty I played first. Whether 4 or World at War. I can't remember which one. I know 4 came out first, but I can't remember which one I bought because it was in that year. It was in the year where some people played 4, some people played World at War. And then obviously
Um,
Modern Warfare 2 was the first one I sweated online.
and did you have a squad, or did you kind of just load into lobbies or was there a group of guys that Because for me, like Modern Warfare 2 was the first one that blew my mind. That I was like, oh, I'm playing with my buddy in a different state. This is wild. And yeah, and so there was a group of about 8 of us, and so we could usually get 4 to 6, and it was Friday nights from after work until the sun came up Sunday morning of just sweat and fun and mayhem.
Yeah, I was 13 years old, so it was not just Friday nights, it was every night. And there was a group of about 50 of us. And whenever 6 of us on, we would team up every day, pretty much every day for the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's when you're listening for your parents to come downstairs and you're turning off the lights if you hear something trying to be quiet. And yeah, gaming at its purest form all night. And and because were you trying, what was the biggest draw for that game? Was it the guns with the different like trying to get diamond guns? Because every game nowadays it's always what's next. Okay, now I get a grenade that blows up bigger or something. So what was your draw that got you into the online addiction that we
I mean,
all suffer?
it was literally just playing with friends. Like I didn't even play most of the time. We just play private lobbies and play snipe battles, and you need to win on a 360. We'd have 10 of us in a free for all sniping battle on Rust. Like
One
quick
B or
quick scopes only, and if somebody got caught hard scoping, they weren't allowed to play the next day. If someone hard scoped on Rust, they get abuse in school the next day. Like it was that type of thing.
Jeez, I see. I like that. See, I missed that whole thing. Back in school, it was actually you had to play with somebody at their house. That's it. See, I was a little late to the party as far as the online thing, but I can see how that could be bad, as far as the bullying carrying over from gaming to yeah, in the hallways.
I wouldn't call it bullying. Like if you're gonna go into a quick scope game and hard scope somebody, you gotta expect some backlash. If you're gonna hard scope someone on Rust, come on, you're bringing it on yourself.
Well, the one doing the bullying would never call it bullying, of course. The one getting bullied is the only one that calls it bullying. The other one calls it teaching, probably, right?
Then quick scope like the rest of us.
Yeah, there's rules. There's rules to this.
There's rules. You quick scope, no. If you don't hard scope, nobody's gonna give out to you for hard scoping.
And so, was there some of you guys that were the best? Like always, there was like 3 or 4 that you knew if they were in the lobby or on the team that they were just going to be the best.
Oh yeah, like I was useless. I was absolutely useless. Like I think I had like a 0.98 KD, and I was happy with a 0.98 KD. And most of us were like 1 KD, and we had some little prodigy who used to just get a nuke in every game. So whenever he was on our team, we never lost.
Man, we lived the same life. Man, if as close as I could get to even on the KD, I was doing my job. All I was doing trying to progress the match. If I ended up the match with like a 10-10 KD, hey, I didn't hurt the squad. All right, that's it. Maybe I had like 5 headshots, so I'm trying to get another camo. That's success.
Yeah,
I celebrate mediocrity. So
I was just the guy that shot down all the planes, shot down UAVs.
Oh yes, that was my buddy Sean. He was that guy. He had the
I was the sacrificial lamb. Like
you're always on it, right? And then the one time you decide to switch classes or something, and then they got a chopper gunner, and you don't have your right thing, and all your squad's pissed, right?
Oh no, every one of my secondaries when we were playing were rocket launchers.
You knew your role.
Stinger missiles, no matter what. They had anything up in the sky, bang, it was down before they could think because I had a Stinger at all times.
See, that's glue guy right there. Taking one. You don't have like a shotgun. See, I was a shotgunner, so I would not give up my shotguns for rocket launchers ever. I'd let the enemy know where I'm at because I got a AA-12 coming for them. So
AA-12 when the models could shoot across the map.
I was a hallway runner, not a camper. Not a camper. Don't get me confused with the camper. I was a hallway runner. All right. So I was, monitoring the halls and the rooms and going through.
So you went Wings of Redemption by calling camping, patrolling an area. No, you were a camper. It's cool. Camping's fine.
Locking down buildings and such, calling out
fine being a camper. I have nothing against camping.
Like I spawned, didn't get spawned. Now I can remember what it's called. Spawn trap. See, that's how old I am. Thank you. I would have thought about that all night. I would have Googled it. What is spawn something called? Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine being a camper. I was one of the few people that didn't mind people camping because I camped quite a bit. But just admit you were a camper. It's fine. It's been 13 years.
It's been 13
years. You can admit it. It's okay.
I'd have to. No, I won't. Let me call some of my old squad mates and ask them what they thought of my game. And if I get more campers than not, I'll admit it. But as of right now, I think I was pretty aggressive as far as what my role was. Like you were shooting down the UAVs, I was making sure, the hallways were clear for the most part. Maybe
that's fine. You were watching people's back. You were camping and watching people's back. That's fine.
Ah, glue guys. Yeah, that's right. See, I was helping everybody out.
The first step is admitting it to yourself that you were a camper.
I'm not putting it in. I'll put it in pencil with a question mark under my bio, because and we'll look into that. I'll look into that personally and see. I don't know if I agree, but it could be something that, geez, I could have been living a lie. I thought I was pretty comp, but yeah. Sheesh. But there's a pretty big step between playing with your buddies, and playing in front of strangers and recording your videos and putting them out for the world to judge and pick apart. When did that Like, was there somebody that you saw do it and said, "Oh yeah, that looks like fun," or what? How did that transition go?
Yeah, like I would have been kind of the first era of like watching people on YouTube play. So like I would have been 13 during the original COD commentary boom. So the like the Wings of Redemption, the Blame Truths, the Hutch. I would have been like prime age to watch those guys. So like I would have been guys my age would have been the first group of people that really kind of embraced the watching gaming content early because we were kind of the first generation that were raised. So, some of us would have been raised on YouTube. Younger than us, most of them are raised on YouTube. Older than us, few of them are. So we kind of would have been that prime age for all that stuff. So we kind of watched all that. Then obviously in 2K, watched Smooth, watched Shake, watched Sub the Gamer, watched Liza Jesser, Lost and Unbound, Cash. I think I was one of Cash's first 30 subscribers when he was called Whatchamacalling. Um, but it was like when I finished graduated high school, I I'm not gonna lie because it was so our high school is just based on one set of exams. We do like 4 hour long exams for 7 subjects, and then our results in those exams decide what college course we get into, what college we get into. Nothing else matters. Like literally nothing else matters other than how many points you get in these exams. So I was so stressed with that that I decided not to get a job, not to like apply for jobs right afterwards. And within about 3 days, I realized that I was playing like 2K 7 hours a day. So I used a little bit of money that I had to buy an Elgato and a mic and start making videos because I was like, you know what, I need to be a little more productive. And if you've ever watched early DBG, I was awful. Like there is no current 2K YouTuber that is worse than 2K15 DBG. And I'm kind of glad about that because that was an era of YouTube where it was okay to be useless. It's not like it's not like an era where creators are coming in day one and releasing ultra high quality videos and like that's kind of the way things are now where personality stuff doesn't matter. And I was the worst 2K YouTuber for 2 years. Literally the worst.
2 years. Jeez. So
Like
what made you keep doing it? You didn't realize it at the time, of course, right? You were still because one of my mottos is you have to be your own biggest cheerleader because no matter what, nobody's going to support you like yourself, and that's how it should be. And sometimes that's hard because sometimes you're self-deprecating and sometimes you don't think you're good enough to do something. So during those years, what's the motivation to keep going? Was it just naivety of just saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do it. This is great"? Or...
I got bored. I was bored. Whenever I was bored, I'd make videos. So like I barely uploaded through 2K16 up to a point. That was the year I took basketball really seriously. Like I still to this day think I should have made the Irish under 20s team that year because I was the best player in the top league in Ireland. It was just whatever way it happened, the coach didn't know who I was and didn't pick me for the panel. Um, but yeah, that was it. And then I barely uploaded for 4 months because I was focusing on basketball. And then when I didn't make that team, it was to take my mind off things. Then 2K17 came along, and I was at this stage was making like $300 a month, and I'm like, cool, this means I don't need to work a part time job because it was back before you needed a sub count or a view count to be monetized. So I was like, cool, $300 a month. I do a bit of refereeing on the side. I don't need a part time job through college. This will get me by. Um, and then that year after was like the worst basketball year ever. Was barely getting any burn. New coach came in for like the top. We moved up to the top league in Ireland, and a new coach came in, and he brought in some of his players. I got no burn that year, and I just hated basketball. I hated my college course, and within like I think it was December, I think I'd made $400 in a month, and that was my record. And by May that year, I was making 5K a month. It went that quick.
So yeah, sticking with it, the drive, and feeling like a little bit like you said, even an extra $100 on the bottom line, going, wow, this is this much more than these past 5 months. All of a sudden, with this little bump, and yeah, geez, the drive. And so, do you think, like you said, the Irish thing, because yeah, there's politics in American sports is just what it is. It's what it is. There are some barriers, there are some hurdles that no matter what, if you don't go to the right place on a Sunday, or if you don't look the right way, that you're not going to be on this squad. So do you think that might have helped drive the all the content creation, the daily stuff,
Yeah,
the
look, I actually the word I'll always say this, and it is actually the worst things. My best times content wise are when everything's going wrong outside of content. So like if you see me like looking like I'm losing my mind on Twitter, but my content, I'm not uploading 7 videos a day, it means things are going fine. I'm just annoyed at content. Whereas my boom in 17 was because I was miserable and just want to take my mind off things. Um, my boom in 19 was because I was in San Diego, was meant to be meet load of friends were meant to be going over there for the summer on like a different type of visa. I was going there for holiday and they all backed out last minute. So I was in San Diego by myself with nothing to do. So I just worked all day and I boomed in 19. And then the pandemic where I had nothing else to do. So to take my mind off stuff, I worked 16 hours a day. And it's like when you can very clearly see now, as much as people think I'm miserable, I'm everything outside of 2K is going great. I just don't like the game very much, to be honest.
Well, and it seems like there's always a plan. There's always a big picture plan with you. Just watching, and even if that changes a little bit, it seems like there's always something cooking. There's always, whether it's be a second channel or a documentary series. Because some of those things that you did, like on the early YouTube beefs with other people, man, some of those are so interesting. Uh,
Yeah, like I don't know what I'll do eventually. I don't actually know because there will come a time. The day I get a full-time job is the day where YouTube becomes a complete hobby for me again. Um, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to that day because I can just switch, go into something new. But it's like for all those second channels, like they require so much drive that I just don't have. Like I think had I been doing some of those, had I stuck with a lot of things. Had I stuck with Make ROI, I'd be booming. Had I stuck with my FIFA stuff the way I was doing it, I'd be booming in that. Had I stuck with DBG docs, that'd be great in DBG right now. But I just don't have the drive, and DBG is always going to be a comfort zone.
Oh yeah, oh for sure, for sure. Yeah, something that that yeah, if I upload this, it's gonna get something like this.
Yeah.
But I know we call it college here, maybe you call it university there, because one of my notes I have that you're a teacher, because you mentioned getting a full-time job. So you've taught in the past as a full-time profession, or?
No, no. Like I'm a qualified PE and maths teacher, like for high school, and
Okay, okay.
that's what my college degree was in. And right before COVID, I had been teaching full time for like 4 months, or for like 3, 4 months, as like part of my college course. But like I was getting with like subbing I was doing, I was basically getting paid like a full time teacher. Um, and I'd done that for like 4 months right before everything shut down from COVID. And then last year, um, I effectively was lecturing college because for the course that I did, they took in double the amount of students from the year before, but didn't give any more lectures, and it was a practical thing. There were practical classes, so like one of my old lecturers sent out an email, I was like, "Can anyone help out?" And I was like, "Yeah, grand, I'll do it." So I ended up basically, I don't think I took many lectures, but effectively lecturing in college for 2 semesters last year.
And hey, that's nice. And so do you kind of see yourself, let's say, you wake up and you're headed to wherever, whatever destination that make happy for the next 10 hours. What does that look like? Is it a teaching situation, or is it a gaming environment, or
I
what's because
haven't
I know there's still a lot of stuff going on with you. A lot of stuff going on
I
with you.
have not got a clue. Like right now, I'm happy. Other than Fridays, I work 4 hours a day. I play a bit of basketball. I'm getting back in shape. Money's down 75% on last year, but I couldn't care less. I'm loving. I'm enjoying the last shit. The last little bit of YouTube being a thing, and eventually, like like I'm not one of those people that ever thought YouTube was going to be a job. So like I finished my undergrad degree. I'm currently doing a master's. So like eventually I'll go back into a job, and it's not a. I remember like listening to Shake being like, "Oh, this is like a dream for so many people." I'm like, man, I tripped and fell into this, so it's not like when I leave, I leave.
I've been seeing this as just me judging from afar. But it still seems like even if you did get into a job situation, that I don't think the content creation is done. Whether it looks totally different, um, but it still feels like that we're going to be able to find you somewhere.
Ah,
Whether it's
yeah.
under a different name or something like that. It seems like that's kind of built into you now. That you're not just going to punch a clock 9 to 5. It's going to be 9 to 5 and then upload the video what you did all day type thing. Am I wrong?
Yeah, like no, there is no way that I will never stop making content in my life.
Hmm.
But there's a difference between making content and making content to live. And like your mentality has to change. It's a lot of the time it stops being fun. Um, if you're focusing on getting more views, if you're so focused on views, if you're so focused on the money, it's not fun. It's never fun doing that.
Everything's
Nothing
fast.
is fun nothing's fun when you're doing that. So like now, wherever it takes me, things could go well and I could be doing this for longer. But look, I'm taking every day as if, and I'm not, basically every year from now on, I'm going in with the expectation of I'll be back teaching in September. So like not this September because I'm doing my master's, but I fully have a plan of going back teaching in September 24. If things go well on YouTube, I can delay that another year and delay that another year as long as things keep going. But like that's my thing is every year past September 2024 is more than I expected. Like
So
that's
how,
my
how do you stay?
unofficial retirement thing.
Do you have to keep brushing up on your preference on like on the maths stuff? Do you have to constantly brush up on that to make sure that you're ready to jump into a teaching role, or you just know it so well that you're ready for it? Because that
You're
that
not
could
right,
be a
but
side job itself, just refreshing so you're ready to teach.
you just need to be one page ahead of the students. It's fine. Well,
I
it's
like
the
that.
truth. Am I wrong? Just to
No.
be one page ahead of students.
Yeah, and just like if you're hiking with your buddy in the woods and the bear comes at you, you don't need to be outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your buddy. You know,
Yeah.
that's it. One page ahead of the students. I like that. And you've been one page ahead of a lot of people. It seems like for a long time, um, which I respect.
In
Uh,
what way? Like,
it just seems like again it goes back to my kids knowing you. That I think they it's it's being in the YouTube uh, spectrum, and then being on the Twitch thing, and then being, whether you're playing this game or whether you're playing FIFA or whether you're just one page ahead because that means people are following you. It's no good to be one page ahead if nobody's turning the page behind you.
yeah, like, but to be fair, I tripped and fell into everything. I'm an angry Irish man that just tripped and fell into like realizing that content slot is the best time to stream. Um, when content's coming out,
So this
like
has all just been one big Neymar roll. You tripped once and you just been rolling the whole time on this whole roller coaster. And at some point, the yellow card's going to come out and say, "Okay, DBG, you're done. You had your fun."
yeah, like, and that I don't know when it's gonna happen. It's gonna be soon. But like at the end of the day, like there is an alternate reality where I'm 1% less stressed, or not even 1% less stressed. That like I get a job offer after high school, after I finished high school, that I was trying to get. I got a job offer. I don't buy an Elgato, and I'm playing way higher level basketball now right now and teaching. Like there's a alternate reality where that's the case, and it
that's
could
the
very
butterfly
easily have
effect,
been. It could very easily have been. I could be.
Yeah. Or we may not have made it as far as we have in life. You know, that could have. You never know. It's perspective of how lucky we are, but how many friends that we grew up with that aren't even with us anymore.
Oh
You know,
yeah, like if I Sure, even last year, this is very, very morbid, but when I went to hospital in excruciating pain, I was in like kind of pain, and I couldn't get to sleep, and I went into a weird position trying to get to sleep, went into excruciating pain. If I fell asleep that night, I wasn't waking up if I didn't get to the hospital. So like, it's very morbid, but like, had I managed to fall asleep or had I taken a bunch of painkillers and numbed it, I wasn't waking up.
And see, and I'd had to figure out who to interview tonight. So I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you stayed awake. That's for sure.
Sure,
Just
surely there's people to interview.
selfishly.
Cabrillo's here in the chat. You can interview Cabrillo about how my team gets no bitches.
I already did. He was the last 2 times. He was number 8. Yeah, I've been. This is number 10. You're double digits for me. But again, the reason I had a mental note, and I even tweeted about it, but I deleted the tweet early about a goal to get somebody to follow. It was stupid. But I'm glad you didn't again, and I'm glad you joined me tonight. But I do have one favor to ask of you.
What?
Typically, to end these conversations, I just mute my mic and let you say whatever you want. Maybe tell people where they can find your stuff. I don't know where I'm going to upload this, but I got 10 awesome interviews now, and the 11th will be next week. And I can't thank you enough. But that's my favor to you, if you'll accept that responsibility.
So basically, say some words, is it?
Yeah, say some words. Close it. I'll mute my mic, and then as soon as you mute your mic, I'll know we're done here.
Okay, perfect.
Again, I appreciate your time.
No worries. All right, lads. So you see that Giannis Antetokounmpo card and Magic Johnson cards? They're absolutely useless. Magic might be okay. That Giannis Antetokounmpo card, absolutely useless. So if you ever see somebody running a Giannis, just know they likely suck at this game. If they spent 3 million MT, if they spent legal tender on that invincible Giannis when he's basically the same as the Opal, you know that they suck. Just like Endgame Luka last year and Endgame Jordan, who are more expensive than their invincibles and worse. Just know, if you face that Giannis Antetokounmpo, no matter how great their squad is, just know that player probably sucks at the game. See you, lads.
DBG nailed it. Mick nailed it. They both nailed it. So thanks everybody for listening. Check out the other interviews. There's more coming up. There's previous ones. Please comment, like, and subscribe.